Hi everyone, it's Mari here for the Paper and Ink Boutique. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the YouTube channel. I have some inspiration today using the brand new Paper Artsy release from Kate Crane. This is such an adorable, whimsical little set, or these sets of stamps and stencils from this release. Just love them so much. This one here is KC015. Just an adorable stamp set. Look at these little people. They're just very whimsical and interesting. You also get these little mark making stamps in here, as well as some little sentiment stamps. You get the 4 little people, and then you get the 3 sentiment stamps and the 2 mark making stamps. This one is, I believe, KC016. Oh my gosh, I am in love with this one too. You've got some little Christmas angels or fairies on here. You've got some trees, a little sentiment there. Just really, really gorgeous, and so many fun things that you could do with this. This one is KC017, also so fun. These sweet little gnomes. Totally adorable. We've got some text on here as well, and this sweet little signpost that you could put these little words into that are part of that stamp that says, I believe, party and cheers and joy. There's 3 stencils in this release. I right now only have 2. I did order the 3rd one, which has hearts on it, but it's coming. This is PS 483484 is the one with the hearts that I'm missing, and then 485. So super fun. Those are the 3 stamps and stencils that are part of this brand new release. Now I'm going to take this stencil here, and I'm going to use this with some Stamperia volume paste, which, by the way, is a fantastic paste to work with. And I'm just taking this and I'm putting it through onto some heavier cardstock. This is some heavier weight cardstock. You could use Vicki Boutin Foundations paper. You could use the Ranger Tim Holtz heavy stock, any heavier paper that you have in your stash. You could even use watercolor paper for this. I am going to be using a fair bit of water on this, so I wanted to make sure that I had some paper that's going to withstand that. So there you can just see that gorgeous texture we get with that. I've set that aside to dry, and now I've washed the stencil, and I'm going to use some of Simon Hurley's solar, I think this is solar paste. No, this is lunar paste. This is lunar paste that I'm using here. So really, really fun. These are really, really bright colors. I will make sure that I list the colors of the lunar paste that I've used in the description box below. But I just really love Simon's paste. They're so much fun to use, and these are such fun, bright colors. So easy to apply through this stencil. And I just wanted to combine a bunch of really fun colors here. And in that way, we're going to get just a really fun, colorful texture and interesting background. So because I'm probably using the wrong palette knife here, I should have been using something that doesn't have such a pointy tip on it, because my pointy tip went underneath the stencil in some of those open areas. So make sure you use a palette knife that's like that first one that I was using, that's kind of got a broad end on it, instead of this fine tipped end. Now you can just see I'm just using just some really fun, like oranges, blues, pinks, fun colors that are just going to look really cool. I kind of wish I would have pulled out the green too here and tried that as well with this combo, but yellow would have also been fun here too. So you can use your Crafters Workshop's paste, whatever paste you have. And look at that. I love that. I love the white space in this one too, right? And this is so shimmery and shiny. So again, I'm going to set that aside. Once that's dry, I'm going to have another background to work with for another project. Now I'm going to take that stencil, and instead of just washing that off, I'm just going to flip that over onto an extra piece of cardstock. I'm going to take a brayer, and I'm just going to press onto the stencil with the brayer, and look at that fun bit of pattern that I'm getting there. So instead of wasting that and washing that off, use that on paper so that you don't have to wash it down the sink, which is very bad for the environment. You're better off cleaning it on your desk, actually, instead of washing it down the sink. Wash it off with some paper towel and put it in the trash. It's better than the alternative. And for this one, I just spritzed it with some water, and again, went over it. Again, we have some pattern. So using all of that material up as much as you possibly can. Here, these are all dry. Look at that great texture that we have here. Some beautiful color, pattern. I just love it. So Kate's stencils are wonderful. The paper artsy stencils are such really great quality. And I love this pattern that she's done on this one. All of the patterns on the stencils she has this time are so, so good. This is my box of infusions that I have from Paper Artsy. I love this product. It's so fun. So this is my dried background here. I've spritzed it with some water, and I just chose some infusions of colors that I enjoy working with. I'm going to paint with these colors too, or sorry, I'm not going to paint with these colors on this project, but you could paint with these this product as well on your stamped images. I'm going to show you something different though today for that. So I'm just sprinkling on some of those granules of infusions onto my wet paper, and then I'll spritz it with water again. I'll pick it up, let it run around, add more water, dry it, and so on and so forth. And then I'll add another color. So this is, I think that one's Sunset Beach. I think I started off with magenta. I'm going to use some lemoncello, just adding a variety of colors. I also added some raspberry on here. Beautiful. So some pinks, oranges, and yellows for my background, which is always a really nice combo. And just continuing to add more water, let this drip around. I'm using a baby wipe to pick up the excess water on my work surface here. This is some more of that limoncello, I believe. I got quite a gob of that in that area, so I'll show you how I'm going to work with that. I'm just going to take my watercolor brush here, and I'll just move it around. And in that way, we can get that flowing and moving to a different area, using my baby wipe to sop up the excess off my space, off my table, and then just using my Ranger heat tool to go ahead and dry this. So it's looking really fun. I love that watercolory background. I'm just going to sop up some of the excess. I also like the white space that I've retained in some of the areas as well. I'm taking a piece of smooth white cardstock here. That's my anti-static powder tool. I've treated the paper with the anti-static powder tool because I am going to use some embossing powder here. I'm going to ink up my stamps with my Verafine ink. This is the black Verafine ink that's so great for fine detail stamping. It's a pigment ink, so it's slow drying, so your clear embossing powder is going to stick to that really nicely. I'm going to add the clear embossing powder there, and then I'm going to take my Wow heat tool and I'm going to melt that clear embossing powder. That's going to make my images really nice and bright and shiny and dark, but it's also going to create little wells on the paper where the shapes are, so that I can go in now and I can color those more easily with a water-based product. So I'm going to use my Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. I love these things. They're so fun to work with. I've grabbed out some of the same colors that I used in the infusions, but I've also added the salvaged patina in that teal color. I wanted to add a little teal in here as well. And now I'm just going to take a wet brush and I'm going to pick up the pigment right off of the pencils and I'm going to add it onto the different spots in the paper. And the nice thing again about the ridges of the embossed images is that the water and pigment's going to be contained in those little areas. It's not going to run all over the place. Mind you, when you're using a wet on dry technique for watercoloring, your pigment's not going to run all over the place anyways, because it's only going to be where the water is. And if there's just a small amount of water in your brush, you can really control where your pigment's going. But you just have that reassurance with these little wells with the embossing. So I'm just going to go around here and just drop in some color. I'm not going to completely color in all of the spaces. This is very whimsical painting and coloring. I'm going to just add color here and there just for the sense of, for the impression that there is some color there. And I just pick colors that I love, and that's just how when I'm coloring anything, I just love to, work with colors that I love basically. So really pretty, some picked raspberry here. I've got some wild honey. I've got some carved pumpkin. I have some vintage photo, the salvaged patina. What else did I pick out here? I'm trying to think the other colors. I'll list them. I'll list them in the description box just so that you have them. And I'm just dropping the color in here and there, giving these really cool, quirky, whimsical little people some color so that they just look even more fun than they already are. And I love that the sentiment that's going to go with this card, put your hands up in the air. I think that's so fun. I think it's really evokes the emotion of happiness, having fun. It could be just you're sending somebody a card to just lift their spirits, or congratulations, or it could be a birthday, whatever. And I just love that so much. I think it's so versatile and fun. You can see how these watercolors layer so nicely too. So I'm adding a little bit of orange over top of that salvaged patina and just, layering. The colors layer even better when you let them dry a little bit. So if you let them dry back and you go back in, you can, really go crazy with the layering, but they do layer even when they're wet. They're just going to mix a little bit when they're wet. So I was fine with that. I'm going to mix the colors a little bit here as I'm layering them on. And you'll notice that I often drag the color out. So if I put it on heavier over to one side, I'll then clean my brush and drag that color out a little bit. And I love, love, love how that technique works so well with adding color for something like this. It's just perfect. And it's super fast and very easy to do. So if you haven't invested in the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils yet, I highly recommend them. They're a really, really fun medium to work with. And they're very, very easy to use. So those are all colored and dry. I'm just going to take my Cutter Bee scissors and I'm going to trim around the outside edge of that embossed area on the outside, the stamped and embossed outline of this image. I'm not going to cut into that black. I'm just going to cut on the very edge of it because I want to retain that black outline. And I'll just take a minute to cut that out quickly. And these are really easy images to trim out, nothing difficult here. And then I'll just take a black pen from my stash. It can be any kind of a marker, a Sharpie, whatever you have. And I'm just going to go ahead over the edges of all of the different areas on the outside edges that I've trimmed off here with a fussy cutting. And that's just going to make the edge black. It's going to look like it's stamped rather than you fussy cut it. And it just finishes it off really nicely. I like doing that with anything that I fussy cut with a black edge. And just take a few seconds to finish that up on both of these little fussy cut people here. Now you can see that the background is quite a bit larger in scale than the people. And so what I decided to do is find a way to trim that space out. This is the waffle flower die set called Nesting Piercing Ticket Frames. I love the waffle flower dies. And there's a ton of them in the store, so check them out. They've got really great stacking dies, so many good dies. And I love this one. I think it's neat. You can use the center or you can use it as a frame. You can use both together if you want. I'm just going to use this frame and I'm going to lay that onto my background here. And in this way, I'm kind of spotlighting the portion of the background that I want. So just a little bit of yellow down at the bottom, but mostly the pink. And I'm just going to give that a good press. I just used my Misti glue press to add the adhesive, the liquid adhesive onto the frame. Now I'm going to take my fussy cutting scissors here and I'm just going to put the blade underneath the edge of that frame and trim around it. And that's just going to give us a really cool framed, watercolored, textured background for our sweet little whimsical people here. So now you can see the scale is a little bit better. I'm going to take my Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L foam tape. This is the Big Mama Rolla foam tape, which I highly recommend. It's a really great price point and it's a fantastic product. You'll see, I think I show you, how easy the release paper comes off the back of this tape. And it just adds a really nice amount of dimension. And I also like when you've used quite a bit of water on your paper, it might need a little bit of foam tape on it just to flatten it out a little bit. And that's another thing that this does. So it's going to add dimension, but it's also going to flatten out my watercolor paper. So gorgeous. We've got a really nice dimensional card front. I'm going to take my sheer Shimmer Craft Spritz. This is the Sparkle Spritz. Love this stuff. It's so good. It's going to add some sparkle and shine to my background. I'm going to take some white paint. I'm going to put that onto my glass mat. I'll add a little bit of water And then I'll just take a little fine brush and I will splatter that on. If you've got a fan brush, that works really well. This is just the brush that happened to be on my desk, so I just grabbed it, but any smaller brush or a fan brush works really well. And I'll splatter that on. So there you can see the sentiment that I'm going to put on here. Put your hands up, hands in the air. And I'm going to stamp a couple of these out, again with my Verafine ink, and I'm just using a stamp block here. Again, I will reiterate how wonderful the red rubber stamps stamp. They're beautiful to stamp with. And I'm just going to take my clear embossing powder again, and I'm going to melt that just like I did with my little people. It's going to give us a really nice, shiny, bright sentiment. This is the Waffle Flower Postage Collage die set. Fantastic die set. It is also great for die cutting sentiments like this one, so it just fit perfectly. I really like that stitched finish on it, that faux stitching. I'm going to take just a little bit of cheesecloth. You can get this anywhere. They might even have it at the store. You can ask Julia. And I'm going to just take a little piece of that and I'm going to add it in behind just for a little extra texture. You wouldn't need this, but I just liked that little extra texture that this provides. I recently organized my foam squares into pockets according to size and thickness and shape. And that has been a time saver for me. I just took a little bit of time to do that. And wow, it's so helpful to have these all divided into the different specifications so that I can grab the ones that I want. So these are the scrapbook adhesives by 3L larger foam squares, the regular thickness. They're not the thin ones. And I'm just going to go ahead and give that a really good press. I think I'm actually going to put a large magnet on that as well and keep that in place until it's adhered. I'm going to take some clear Wink of Stella, nod to Brianna. Love clear Wink of Stella. Such a fun product. I'm just putting it here and there, and it's going to go nicely with that clear shimmer spritz that I've already used on the background. I'm going to add some more foam squares onto the back of this little person with her or his arms up in the air, and love that. I think it's adorable. I'm going to put another foam square on the head just to double thickness that. And now we're ready to add a foam square into the sentiment and add that up at the top. So super, super cute. Love how that's looking. Again, just going to take a little more Wink of Stella, add that here and there for a little extra shimmer and shine, and a little bit of white gel pen to add a highlight here and there, just some little white dots. These things are all just fun little details that really bring your cards alive. I love Stickles, of course. This is gold. And again, this is whimsical. I couldn't resist adding some more sparkle and shine just to the little button areas, a few little dots here and there, just to add that little bit of extra pizzazz to your project. I love the Stamperia contour. It is an amazing product. This is the Iridescent. It is so easy to apply. That fine tip is the reason why. It is so good. And I'm just adding tiny little iridescent dots here and there. And if you haven't checked out the Trinity Stamps embellishments in the shop, or any, Julia and Glenn and Brianna and Heather and the team, they do a really, really great job of stocking all of these little details that are so fun to work with. I'm not sure which this is, but just go and peruse and see what they have in stock. There's tons of things, right? And so I'm just adding some little bling bling here to their little outfits just to add some little dimensional details. And you wouldn't have to do this. You could even just add some clear sequins, like it doesn't matter. But I just thought these were super cute. I'm going to add these on. I'm using my Misti glue press and just a wax craft tip tool to pick those up. And that's my finished card. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this. I loved working with these products today. It was so much fun. Have a wonderful day. I will see you again soon. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Leave us a comment and give this video a thumbs up. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.